Surely once we go live, I won't have any issues, right? That's how it works.
Too late. Too late.
Too late. No.
It would never.
Okay. For real though, computer.
All right, cool. I see us live on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. And I did switch it last time, so I am doing the outro for this one.
Cool.
And this is 56. I should name this 56 for real.
I like how because my camera is wider in this view, you finally get to see Brushy Tuna again, who's not usually on my stream anymore. But that's what I named this because it's my biggest fan.
Aww.
Fantastic.
At one point, way early on in my stream, I had a piece of paper with Brushy Tuna written on it, and I taped it on the fan.
That's wonderful.
But it was, it was going to flap around or just block the airflow, so I figured it'd be a good idea to remove it. But for a brief moment, that was there.
How much tape did you have to use so that it didn't like blow off?
Not that much. It's like 4 different pieces of tape.
Oh my gosh, I can't type. All right. Instead of typing 56, I typed 45, and then I typed 67. I'm like, no, I need 56. I need the buttons in the middle of those. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm having a week.
That's all right. It happens. I mentioned earlier, I don't remember if it was during the point where you had tech issues or not. I got a jet around like 4:10. But the main topic is something I'm less suited for than you guys anyway, so you probably won't even miss me.
What's that supposed to mean?
Wow.
It means I know Hearthstone, and I know literally nothing else. And you guys know other things. It's a little bit of a broader skill set.
We may be able to do a 40-minute episode, I believe.
Bang, bang, let's do it.
I believe we can also do an hour and 40-minute episode, so we'll
This is true. This is absolutely true.
It's not like any of us can talk about cards or anything. Okay. Are we ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
All right. I forgot to pull up my mute. As long as it doesn't take forever. Welcome to episode 56 of the TCCG Roundtable. We're your hosts, dragonrider, DankestDad, and RonMexico. How's it going? How's it going?
Hey, happy to be here.
Same here. As always, it's Friday, and can't complain about that.
Oh my God, Friday. Cue 10-minute discussion about Friday. All right, we'll fast forward that part.
Perfect. So, instead of doing our typical order of things, we're going to switch it up just a little bit. So, do you guys want to kick us off with any like big competitive news or just news in general that we haven't discussed yet?
There's quite a bit of Hearthstone news that I can dive into right away. Since our last show, I believe there was even more that came out. So there's been a couple of patches, I think, since our last show too. There was the patch that updated Battlegrounds, it reintroduced buddies. There have since been more changes to Battlegrounds and a lot of adjustments in like minion types and heroes. There have been, I think, some more twist adjustments, just slight like hero health adjustments. There was Gen and Baku returning to the core set just briefly until the new expansion comes out. And funny enough, these two cards, they were so powerful that they got sent to Wild early, and now they are so weak that nobody plays them at all in the current format, which is very funny.
Oh, hey, I tried it. Wait, I don't know if I got to tell you, Ron. I told Dankest this. When those came into standard again, the very first day, my immediate thought was like, you know what I need to try right now? I need to play Odd Hunter.
Nice.
I mean, it was fun. The win rate was not nice. I went like 0-3, but it was fun, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing things, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I saw some people playing Genabaku stuff, and then it went away. And I was like,
I mean,
that didn't last long.
Even Warlock is still probably not that bad, but there's just better things to do in Warlock.
Yeah.
And that's arguably the only one out of all of the iterations that's even playable. All the Baku ones are just totally unplayable. Turns out current 2024 Hearthstone, you cannot build a strategy around spending 2 mana on a hero power consistently. That's a bad plan. You're gonna get wrecked. So spending 1 mana on a hero power maybe can work as sort of a game plan, but only with that one option, really. And again, there's better choices within Warlock. That being said, I still made an even Reno Hunter deck after the other nerfs that I'll discuss in just a moment, which has been funny but also not good, obviously. But it was interesting to mess around with. There was, in addition to the Gen and Baku returning, Marin the Manager, which is a brand new card from the new expansion, which does crazy things. It's a card that lets you Battlecry, pick a treasure, and shuffle more treasures in the deck, and the treasures do silly nonsense that can be very, very powerful and game breaking. You have to spend 7 on the minion itself. It's a little understated, but then you can do insane things, which has enabled a whole lot of powerful druid decks and other slower decks to get a bit stronger. There was the Perils in Paradise announcement as well. In tandem with that, the new expansion is going to be coming out on July 23rd, and we are in the midst of reveal season. And additional Hearthstone news, 3 nerfs happened as well, where Reno got bumped up from 9 mana to 10 mana. The Virus module for Ziliax got bumped up from 3 mana to 4 mana, and the Celestial Projectionist got bumped up by 1 mana from 2 mana to 3 mana, and also gained a health on it. So, kind of your blueprint. Are these cards too broken? Let's make them a tiny bit more expensive and not change any of their problematic text. That'll fix everything. Great job.
All I'm hearing is that one of my 2 successful Gen and Baku decks is getting a buff. Odd Warrior gets on Kiliax. I'm in.
There you go.
We're doing it. But yeah, I don't know. Did you play any Even Druid, Ron? Did you ever get to try that?
Tiny bit. It didn't work great for me because I was incapable of drawing the 2/1 that increases your hero power. It just hung out in the bottom like 5 cards of the deck. But then I played against it, and the guy who had the deck against me had 2 of those by like turn 3, and he murdered me with like a mega combo. It was great.
Yeah,
I loved that experience.
I was gonna say that sounds exactly like how Dankest described that deck to me. It feels real great when you draw that, and it feels pretty bad when you don't. And that was the deck. I was like, oh, okay.
I won every single game where I had Groovy Cat on 2. I lost every single game where I didn't. And I played a small sample of games, and in the small sample, I had Groovy Cat over half the time. Deck good. What can I say?
Nice. There you go.
Perfect.
I mean, it definitely is a hard mull for Groovy Cat deck, but I don't think it's a very good deck.
Yeah, I think it's like, yeah, I think Odd Warrior is the only one that I played that felt like reasonable, but I don't know why I wouldn't just play Reno Warrior. So,
Right.
yeah. Well, only outside of Hearthstone. Oh, one more Hearthstone thing. The Twist deck list actually did get updated yesterday. So
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Big Twist changes. Changes to how some of the heroes work and changes to deck lists. So, yeah, while Cthulhu does not have 80 health anymore, the deck is a little less bad now. So, take a look.
We take those.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody as well that next weekend, which for those of us in the United States will be the holiday weekend, 4th of July weekend. But during that weekend, there will be pre-release events happening for Star Wars for the next set, Shadows of the Galaxy. So if anybody is going to be at any of those pre-release events or, wants to talk about them or hear about them, definitely reach out to us or, chat us up about that. That'd be awesome. And also, I'm going to be guesting on another podcast in the Star Wars space right after immediately following that weekend. So I'm very much looking forward to that and sharing my experience for any pre-releases that I do get to go to. So, yeah.
Star Wars space. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I know you like it. I know. I'm working on my puns.
So, other competitive news. We do have a Hearthstone tournament tonight. If you're looking for something to do for Pride Week, we at AFG are hosting a tourist tournament for that. So if you want to see, Don and I are casting. If you want to play, come win some packs and, help give to a good cause. And then for Pokemon, we were talking about this a bit before the show, but if you are a VGC player, you'll notice there are some event shifts that have made the names for VGC events a little bit more similar to TCG. So if you're a VGC player, don't worry, your events are okay. The structure has just been updated a little bit. If you're a TCG player, don't sign up for a VGC event by mistake because I could see that happening and it would be a good thing to try and avoid. But yeah, so with that quick news update, let's go back now to where we usually start. What were you guys doing this week? Do any card stuff?
Go ahead.
Go ahead first, Ron.
So it wasn't last week, but maybe it was the week before. I'm losing track of time. Time is an illusion. Don't worry about it. But recently, I got Twitch partner, so it was a very exciting moment, and I have that fancy check mark now by my name. When I type in Twitch chats, there's not a whole lot of other things that change besides that. But hey, it's fancy and I like it. It's nice. Outside of that, I've just been doing a bunch of more streaming, trying to stay consistent with it, and dealing with occasional computer problems, like the one that caused me to miss last week's show. But it's fixed now, and yeah, hopefully things just work properly. I know I said that the last time I was on the show, where I was like, I'm just trying to have everything work properly, and then it kind of didn't, but only just briefly, and we're back. It's fine. Everything's fine here now. Well, how are you?
I love how Dankest phrased this as like, what have you been up to, card games? Because it feels like I haven't, unless you want to count my newest addiction, which kind of is cards, but it's bingo cards, because I have, instead of instead of fighting it, I have fully embraced my old lady era, and I'm enjoying the heck out of some bingo. So, I've been doing a bunch of that, and feels cool when I win money. I'm like, yeah.
See, you got to start early
money.
so you can dominate the bingo circuit for the next like 50 years. You're gonna be a menace. They're like, oh shit, it's Dawn again.
Look. I used my skills that I have learned already. Okay, look at this. I started off the first day, right? I'm like, I've never done this. This is my first time. And I went by myself too, which first of all, like, kudos to me, because that is something that like a couple years ago I never would have done. I was like too scared to do stuff by myself. And now I'm just like, nobody wants to go with me? Fine, I'll go by myself. I'll take myself out. And I'm like, I will do that. And I went and played, so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so like I tried to ask for help, and then they paired me with this other lady who, funny enough, we found out is been retired for the same amount of time that I've been married, which is 13 years. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, the first night, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. She was showing me stuff to already. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got 8 different colored daubers. Some of those are for the black light. Some of those are regular colors. Some I've got a bag I carry my stuff in. I buy multiple packs. I add on all this other stuff. Yeah, give me one of these, those. Set up all my stuff, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Boom, 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 boom. Get everything set up. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's been a week and a half. That's it. So I feel like I'm in one of those like anime arcs where, they start off and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden by like the 3rd episode, they're like, yeah, like I've already like succeeded with this first power that I just learned I had. But like
the Grandmaster, the Grandmaster bingo now.
Yeah. So there's that. So, technically I guess they're still cards, but not the same. But
counts. Still counts.
Yeah.
Cards.
That's it. That's what I got. But Dankest, I think you have probably some pretty exciting things that you've been up to. What have you been doing?
So, well, we'll start with the boring stuff that I want to downplay. So Thursday had my semi-final match for the AFG Pokemon Draft League against Neji Boston. And while I did not win, I do think that it was one of the more enjoyable games of Pokemon that I've played in a long time. And, well, lesson for all of you is if you have a hobby that you like and good people who do it are willing to practice and grow with you as players, it is awesome and unbelievable. Try it out. And it was cool, helping Neji start out with Pokemon to now getting to meet on even footing and have high quality games. It's great. And then I brought the stream out of retirement, streamed that match, some dungeon run, helping raise some money for the Trevor Project. It was really cool. And now to the good stuff. So the past weekend, I am blessed with the amazing boon of living in Columbus, Ohio. And I got to go to Origins, the board gaming convention here, and try out a bunch of physical games. My wife's also big into it, so we got to go demo some games. We learned how to make some chainmail, which is way more like knitting than I would have guessed, but it is very cool. So we were linking some chains, playing some games, and I got to try out a new trading card game that came up that had been on Kickstarter for a bit, and it was called Flawed TCG, and it was awesome. And I had such an amazing time with that. And trying out smaller games can be cool. Even if it's not at Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, you're often going to get a really fun experience and get to meet some really passionate people who are bringing that game to life.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how it's like the card game community is so large, but also so small at the same time. Because somebody that works on that game, we also know in the community, who's also like a big fan of RonMexico's channel. I think we talked about that before we officially started the podcast.
True.
But
Yeah.
it's just like such a small world that we come across these people, but also at the same time, it's because we all love card games, right? So it's not that far of a stretch that we would go from one card game to another card game community, or potentially even work on card games in some fashion. So that's pretty cool. But because of that, we wanted to take that and lead it into the main topic, which we're going to cover a couple different indie dev games and some smaller card games. So do you want to kick it off with talking about Flawed and your experience playing it?
Sure. So starting off, I knew nothing about this game. I was just walking around the convention center, minding my own business, and I see a booth for a card game, and my wife was like, "Oh shit, not this again!" And I was like, "Don't worry, I'll come back tomorrow." And so I did, and I got to meet Ken Tober, who is the CEO and designer for Flawed, and told me a little bit about the game. It sounded cool, so I came back and did a demo, and it was an awesome experience. So the gameplay itself is kind of like, I would say, a cross between a lot of the main features in Magic and a game like Star Wars Unlimited, but it definitely felt its own. It was certainly not a copy of either, just had a few similar elements, with the main distinctions being that every card has a speed on it. So if you play another game like Yu-Gi-Oh, you'll have, your quick play spells, your trap cards, and Magic, you'll have instants and sorceries. And in this game, that's just expressed with a number, which can lead to some really cool interactions. And then there's the game's main selling point. It's called Flawed for a reason. So the game is called Flawed because the cards themselves are flawed. They're incomplete. So if you open up any piece of cardboard, it does not have everything you need on it. You have to combine it with an essence, which is like a transparent sheet. If you ever used a projector in school growing up, if you're old like us, it's just like one of those, and you slide that transparency over the card in the sleeve, and boom, the card inherits all the properties, be it cost, be it abilities, be it stats. And this makes the game really deep, because when you're deck building, in just the base set, there are over 7,000 combinations of cards and essences that you can make. And that's just set one. So really, really customizable. And the gameplay is very, very deep. And there's some complexity, but it's not bad. But if you're like looking for a really meaty card game experience without having to burn yourself out learning terms and digging into rules, Flawed, I think, stands above any other game that I've tried so far.
Yeah, that is just an incredible concept to have, like all of those different things. It's like, okay, well, you can switch it to this sleeve and this sleeve and this sleeve. So it's infinitely complex in a way, it almost seems like, or infinitely as far as how we would view it, in our normal interactions, because it's capped at what, like 7,000, but come on, you're not going to think of 7,000 different things. So yeah, it's just like you could go all these different cool directions with it. And one other thing I remember noticing on there that was cool, that we've talked about with other card games recently, is it's the share return with alternating actions kind of experience in the gameplay that is different from Hearthstone, for instance, that maybe the majority of our audience might be playing, but very similar to some other ones we've talked about on the show. It's a cool angle.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because just being able to customize it like that, change things up, it makes it so that games feel different too, which is great as players who play a lot of games, like potentially a lot at a time. I think having that like sense of it being able to kind of change as you play and you be able to adapt for different situations is something that I really enjoy in card games. So that seems like a really cool concept and makes it sound really fun.
Yeah, it's very awesome. And like playing the demo game, so like just in the demo with the demo starter decks, the game got very deep and very complex in terms of which actions like I'm supposed to take and how I'm supposed to approach my situation very quickly. And even playing like against one of the designers, I open passed. So I was in a situation where I passed my turn without having no actions left or having other possible ones I could take. And the designer, was like wondering at first if I had done this by mistake. Then looking at the board state was like, I see, like you actually know what you're doing here. And then she took off the kid gloves. And if I did not have my head start from the nice demo play, I would have got cooked. And I think that makes it really fun when you can, just like learn the game immediately go, and just seeing someone who plays the game, has had their hands on it. I think from Brushy Tuna said 4 years is how long they've been playtesting. And to see someone who's, put 4 years of their life into making something actually like share it with you and see how happy they are that you are happy and having fun is an experience unlike any other. And like I brought this up with Universes in the past when I went to Florida for their world championship, but like joining a small community just has that extra special coolness. And while Star Wars Unlimited, Magic, Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh are all really great, really fun games, you're not going to be able to hop across the table from a person who made it, just throw down with them and hear all the secret sauce about how things were developed, get the inside stuff, and just experience it in that way. It's totally unique.
Nice. Yeah, this is a game to definitely like keep an eye on and look forward to. I asked Brushy Tuna about it and about whether or not there would be like a digital client for it at some point, or if that was something they're working on. And there's no target date for that, but that is something that is also like being thought about and hopefully planned for. And if they do that, I will probably start playing Flawed seriously too, because I'm very interested in this game.
Yeah. And full disclosure, they have not given us anything. These are honest, unbought, unfiltered thoughts. And the only person who bought is me, because I've got a bunch of product sitting downstairs in my kitchen right now. So
Nice.
buy this game, play with me. Would love to learn this alongside you guys and give it a shot. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm down to learn it. I'm the one person maybe you could call biased because my buddy Tuna was working on the game, so he told me, hey, you should check this out and play it. And I'm like, oh, it looks cool. It sounds cool, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when my wife asked me how I knew him, my response was, oh yeah, he's my co-host blood brother. My wife was like, oh, okay,
Nice.
sure.
Nice.
But I feel like it's a pretty accurate description, right?
Honestly, it's really funny to me, Dankest, that you and I are both together with Michelle, so we have two long-suffering Michelles in our lives.
Oh no.
But yeah, Flawed is not the only small, kind of cool, more niche game out there. There's actually another game coming off Kickstarter that I got exposed to recently called Chrono TCG that also looks very cool. And while I have not gotten my hands on this one yet, I am a really big fan of the team behind the game and having engaged with them in the Legends of Runeterra community. And I also think that they have something special brewing on their end of things. All right. Looks like we are returning back to maybe a few technical difficulties, but That's all right.
Sorry.
No
I
visual
know.
aids here.
My-
The three of us will weave you a tapestry of card game magic, and we'll use that instead. So, Chrono is very heavily inspired by Legends of Runeterra, which is not a surprise. When the competitive scene for that game was sunset, at least at the first party level, by Riot, a few of the big community members and top players wanted to do their own thing. And at least on the team, Jason Florent and What Am I are the two players who I was most familiar with. And they put together their own game. And it's really cool. So they are going fully digital. So, Ron, if you're looking for a digital game to try, this is one that is going primarily that route. And while they have a demo on TCG Player now and a few digital good or physical goodies for those who are backing the Kickstarter, when we play this game, we'll be playing it online. And
Nice.
yeah, it looks very awesome.
Yeah, I was looking at the game and seeing it's like a obviously it plays into the name Chrono, where you're like controlling the timeline, and it's like very thematic with time-based like concepts, and that's just a cool idea, like lore wise, to build up like some excitement and attachment to the game. It's not just like you're a hero, they're a hero, kill them. It's
Yep.
I mean, essentially, yeah, that's going to be the concept, like it is in like every card game, but you know, it's reduce the core to 0 durability to be the controller of the timeline. I interpret that to be like, okay, go face and they die, but
Oh, it is. You are very much correct.
but yeah, it's cool that there's always like a different spin in every new card game, whatever it is. There's like a different core concept and a different like theme that they're exploring, and the time theme is one of the cooler ones that you can always like dive into in, I think, any media. Maybe it's the Doctor Who fan in me, but I love the concept already. Like, that's a cool idea.
Definitely. And you know, I'm looking forward myself to just getting to actually see the flavor of all these cards and how they mechanically play into it. And I know like that's one of the things that always makes me really happy trying a new game, is seeing like, you know, when that first set comes out, they always have to sell you on sort of the flavor of the game, and having the mechanics like tell the story there is super, super cool. But I know that for Chrono, they have just funded. So this Kickstarter finished this morning, I think, or today is the final day. So if you want to pledge, get in there and hurry. But
Nice.
they just met their goal of $50,000, and yeah, the first steps toward the game are going to be happening. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool, and like we're hoping maybe that we can get either Jason or What Am I on the show to talk more about this. We'll see, but the game is cool, and if you were thinking about it, you may have some of the same questions we did, but no NFTs, no nonsense. This is just card games and a good time. So
no NFTs. Well, you lost me. I'm out.
Yeah. But yeah, awesome community. They've got a very active Discord, and they've been running some community tournaments to promote the Kickstarter and the game through Tabletop Simulator. So definitely check them out. And while I have not had the time on Fridays because real life gets in the way, I am super, super hyped to give this a shot and compete.
Nice.
Because
it's another one that looks really cool. And I don't know, just it kind of like Ron said, like I feel like I'm amazed every time we talk about a new game is how they come up with new mechanics or new, you know, ways to do the same thing but differently. Because I'm just looking at this like instead of classes or like colors, I mean, they do kind of have colors, right? But it's all these different, what do they call them? Syndicates.
Mm-hmm.
They have syndicates, so it's like, oh, okay. So instead of like Magic, where it's just kind of the color, or the classes in Hearthstone, it's these syndicates. I don't know. It's just like those little things like that when you're working on a game, especially when you're trying to draw people into a new game, the details like that I feel like are also just as important as the actual mechanics and the play and like making it look enticing for people. Is that they don't want, people are like looking for new stuff because they don't want to just play let's play a dev version of like Hearthstone mixed with something necessarily, right? Like people want something different and interesting and new. So it always amazes me that they're able to do things like that. But yeah, this one looks really, really cool. And I love the digital aspect myself. As someone who lives in a pretty small place, I usually have to travel multiple hours in one direction just to be able to play like physical card games, at least. So, or sometimes even to buy product. I remember like just to play in the first pre-release for Star Wars, I drove 4 hours each way. Yeah, so it's digital is very good for people like me who don't really have communities of tabletop, physical card games to play in. So,
or if you live possibly near some communities, but you just don't ever want to leave the house.
For someone living in a small place, there is a reason I enjoy living in a small place, and that's because I don't want to go outside very often. So, yeah, if you'd rather get the gamer tan instead of an actual sun tan, the gamer tan, very good too. Not opposed.
Going with that vampire aesthetic.
Yeah,
Good.
look, the other day I just did like what Cat does, and I kind of just like moved the curtain a little bit, and I just kind of stood in the doorway with the door closed and just kind of like soaked up a little bit of the sun rays, and was like, okay, I'm done. Back up to my little computer hovel hole. Like, here we go.
Solid.
So, but digital games good. I guess that's going to lead us into it. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover for Chrono?
No, I think that's all. Like I said, we're hoping we can get these designers on the show to talk more. And, well,
yeah,
I'm sure they will have a lot better things to tell you than any of us will. So we'll leave it to the experts.
Exactly. Well, the other one that I wanted to talk about is Amble Duels. This is also another one that is being put into a digital version. This had started as a physical game in 2022, I believe. There had been a Kickstarter for it, and then they're kind of now adapting a digital version for it. So I am very interested to see, but one thing that really like caught my eye about this, other than, I mean, again, kind of as Dankest said, like full disclosure, these, are not like, we are not being paid or anything for like these are just something we're talking about. But the dev did reach out to me and had emailed me, wanted me to check this out, and I did, and I was like, okay, yeah, this actually looks pretty interesting. It's also a creator from the LGBTQ community, so kind of awesome to see, some of those things as well. But for me, I really like how let me see, it might be on the how to play. Oh, here it is. Schools of Knowledge is kind of like the, again, classes or like Lorcana, inks, like the colors. So when there is going to be deck building, you'll be able to do like a combination of two different schools of knowledge. So you could do like water magic plus fire magic, or fire magic and sword path. And each one has this kind of little, I forget what these are called. Do you know what these are called? These graphs? I feel like they have a specific name, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
I don't know. As a data science professional, I should be able to tell you. I would call it a hex plot, but that's just me being stupid and making something up on the spot like I would in a real meeting. So,
Nice.
we'll shoot at the hex. We'll call it a hex plot. That's the name of it now.
Okay.
I just checked fire magic and assassination path, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that both of them point the closest towards aggressive. And I'm like, oh yes, that's yes, I want that.
Yeah, assassinating with fire sounds pretty sweet. That I don't know. To me, that sounds like a very rogue type thing. But also rogue with fire, like sign me up.
Solid.
But yeah, I think it's really cool how it does have these. We'll go with Dankest name. These like plots here, these hexagon plots of like kind of showing where these things lean. So like, yeah, fire magic kind of has aggressive, linear, and burst, which seems like a kind of aggro style. You'd kind of expect that from something like fire or something like red in magic, right? It's kind of a similar theme. But when you're building a deck, you'll be able to combine the two. So just like the other game, just like Lorcana, where you can combine two different inks into a deck, or just like Magic, where you can combine colors into a deck. It's the same style. So I'm really interested with that. Of course, there's artifacts, like skills, soul stones. There's going to be cosmetics because it's going to be a digital game. So definitely looks really interesting. I personally would love if we could have this on like Steam and stuff, but I'm sure that might be a little ways out still. So I don't know. Did either of you get a chance to look at this one a little bit?
I checked it out briefly, and I thought what was really cool as a different aspect of this game compared to some of the other ones, most of the other ones we've seen talked about, is there's two different ways with like your resources that you can win or lose, I guess, which is health, your typical thing for your player. Your life total gets reduced to 0, you lose. You reduce their life total to 0, you win. That's kind of how it goes in almost every game. But there's also a max energy type of meter, and if you reach 50 or lower on max energy, you also are defeated. And I'm like, okay, so not only can you plan on like attacking someone's health total or protecting that for yourself, but you also have to protect or attack the energy total too in some ways. I haven't seen all the cards and how that interacts, but the additional complexity there is a neat idea. That's something I haven't really seen a whole lot before, and I like it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I wonder how that energy works, but that seems really interesting.
Yeah.
Also, is this saying what I think it's saying, that every deck in this game is singleton?
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
Highlander enjoyers go crazy.
And for maybe what might be a first ever card game thing here, no monsters. There are no monsters in Amble Duels. So, all right. That's kind of interesting, because this means like you're more so looking at those spells and abilities and things like that. So that could play into, I guess, a little bit more of that like fantasy too. Like if this were real life and I were like a sorcerer, I would have to watch not only my like physical health, but also potentially my like mana health or my like magic, right? Like if you use up too much of your magic and you're weak, you're just out of the game. So
yeah,
I feel like that kind of
the concept really well. I agree.
Plays to that storyline. Yeah.
And well, Universes in Flesh and Blood are games also of that mold where there's no monsters. And I will say I am very drawn to those game systems. So this has my full attention. I'm ready to play with you guys anytime. You sold me.
Well, I think all three of the games that we talked about look really, really interesting. And it's It's so hard. There's so many games coming out, but I don't know how these, like, again, it amazes me how well these people are creating these games and coming up with these different things, but I don't know.
Yeah. So for the next episode, we'll have to do a topic on how to have infinite time to play all the card games.
Yes.
That seems like a natural next step.
That's a real moneymaker if we can.
No kidding. Like if you know how to do that, definitely we'll talk about that. But you know what? Speaking of next week's show and the show in general, let's give people information where they can find us and the show. So thank you for listening, everybody. And if you want to be on the show, you want us to have someone on the show that you'd like to hear from, whether it is a game dev or a personality in a game, let us know. But you can email us at tccgroundtable@protonmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at TCCG Roundtable. And also on Twitter, you can look at our top pinned tweet there to find a link to our Discord or Discord link in our show notes. You can find the video version on my YouTube at dragonrider TCCG. You can also listen to episodes in audio formats wherever you find podcasts. Check out our Inked Gaming affiliate where you can get some of the kind of sweet physical merch and even customize stuff, like customize a playmat with your own artwork or pictures or whatever you wanted to have on it. So definitely check that out, and you help directly support our show. And of course, Amber Flight Gaming, that we're all a member of. And as the other two have already mentioned, we are doing some fundraising currently until the end of the weekend, because that's when the month ends, for the Trevor Project as part of our June Pride celebrations. So definitely check out some more streams that we all have going on over today and especially Sunday, and consider donating to that fundraiser if you can. I'll make sure that I get the link unless somebody else has it handy, if we can post that in chat for people that are hanging out here. But I guess that is it for where you can find the show. How about where we can find each of us individually? Ron, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Ron_HS, and you can find me streaming on Twitch every weekday, Monday through Friday, right around 7 p.m. Eastern, at RonMexico HS.
Perfect. And thanks for getting that link as well. And Dankest, where can people find you?
So you guys can find me once again on Twitch at twitch.tv/DankestDadCCG. I'm hoping that the stream this week was not a one-off, and want to be getting a few more in soon, so come by and check it out. You can find me on YouTube, also DankestDadCCG, and you can find me in Discord as DankestDad, or in Ohio as John in real life. So, hit me up. I'm around. Now, before we go, though, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. So you brought up something interesting, Don, when you were talking about Chrono, which is how impressed you are with the mechanics people come up with. So I'm going to ask you guys and anyone who's in chat, in the comments, if you're watching us not live, what's a mechanic you would come up with for a card game? Do you guys have any ideas?
So like a keyword in Hearthstone as an example, or
anything. Keyword, rules mechanic, just any sort of idea. I'm curious.
Off the top of my head, it would definitely be damage related, and it would probably be a conditional type of damage related thing. Like, if you can do X, then do Y. That is like damage plus damage type of thing. And I would want it to be relatively cheap and connected to like a not exactly like minion swarm style, but like a style that is built around having monsters or minions or something. I can't off the top of my head give you like a right away like keyword or mechanic or something, but basically hit them in the face. That's the mechanic.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good choice.
I stay on brand.
Yeah.
I know this is such like a pop quiz question. It's like you just hit us right at the end. I was like, I wasn't prepared for this.
Well,
I mean, my instinct is something that like has already come out, but I just like the alternating actions of Star Wars like so much. I think that I just tend to prefer that a little bit in the strategic sense, rather than just like, you know, playing out your whole turn and not really interacting with your opponent. But if I had to create my own mechanic, I would say I would create a mechanic that lets you take like an extra action in a row. Like, you know, you could do 2 actions in a row before your opponent gets one. You know, you'd have to limit it so that you can just like do a whole bunch of stuff and not let your opponent do anything.
Known
that's
Zarimi
you know.
enjoyer, Dragon Rider.
hey, known artifact
Hey.
enjoyer.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I came up with for this pop quiz.
Nice. I mean, I think that's a great answer too.
Did you have one in mind for yourself, Dankest?
Yeah. So like, I play universes card game based on fighting games. I like fighting games. I like games with stacks and interaction. So maybe this idea is a little toxic, but in a fighting game, there's a concept called an option select, where you can input in a way such that whatever your opponent does, your input will cover the thing. So like, for example, you could input up, and if your opponent tries to hit you, you're going to be stuck in your block still, so you don't do anything. But if they try to grab you, you jump, so you get out of it. And for like a card game, I think it would be cool to have like an effect that you choose when the card resolves, not when you play it. So,
okay.
So you play your card, and then say your opponent has like some kind of trick, or maybe not a counter spell, but something else that messes with your original plan. You get to wait and see, and then when your card gets to like its spot in the stack, you have to be like, now I see what has happened. I'm going to choose the best thing for me right now, instead of having to commit and let whatever interference happen. So it could be interesting. Maybe, like I said, it could be a little toxic, but would definitely be something I would want to experiment with if I were the guy making the game. But,
so instead of haha, you've activated my trap card, it's haha, I've activated my trap card.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I dig it.
like, and maybe you have and maybe like in a fighting game, you have something that covers both options. And no matter what the person who played this card chooses, they're gonna get screwed either way, or there might be some sneaky way out. But I think it could lead to some interesting mind games and some cool play patterns. But I don't know. I'm not a designer, so maybe I'm wrong. It's just the most miserable thing ever, and you all would hate me if it was in a game.
Hey, this could be an entire next main topic show next week if we wanted to. There's a lot of directions you go with it. I like it.
Yes. Yeah, that was a good one. All right. Well, let's see. As for me, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube, dragonrider TCCG. You can find me on Twitter at DonnieDK. That's DAWNIEDK. Hopefully I can get back to videos. Life again became really hectic all of a sudden. So trying to maintain that stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the new stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to put out some content on all of it. So hopefully July's a little bit better for that. So stay tuned. And I don't know, anything else before we go?
That's all I got.
I'll miss you.
All right. Well, me or the people?
Both.
Okay, let's go with both. Why not both? Why not both?
I won't miss you that much. I'll see you again in like 2 hours. So
that is true.
We got a lot of quality time ahead of us. Don't worry.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you at the roundtable.